Bonus video today, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to be taking a peek at the evens. We probably did a lot of the odd stuff in class, so just a way for you to kind of check things over one more time. Think of those things you may want to put on your note card for the quiz tomorrow. So, draw a graph of the inequality. Reminders. Go to your number. Okay. If it's just greater than or less than, that will be a parenthesis. And again, arrows E and V is greater than. Greater than. We're done. Just says draw a graph. I do not have to do interval notation for that one as we're looking. Now here we got more to do. So we're going to do distributing first. Get those parentheses out of there. Now goal, get A by itself. How do I do that? I do opposites over here. So we're going to do the opposite of minus 21. We're going to plus 21. Nice thing about a video, if Hardy gets going too quick, you can pause me, you can rewind me, you can do all sorts of good stuff. Now, here's where life gets a little interesting. Okay, my variable is not on the left. So there's a couple of things I could do. If I want to put my variable on the left so I can follow it for my arrow, that's fine, but then you've got to notice the arrow is eating A. So we change that over. Do you have to do that? No. But it does make it easier if I go to make my graph, and I'm like, hey, A is greater than goes to the right. These mean the same thing. It's just the parenthesis, but now we are going to do interval notation as well. And again, interval notation goes from left to right. Steal my symbol. Arrows are infinities. And we're done. Here, now there's parentheses. Well, what about the 8M? Ignore it for right now. We'll put it back in here. These M's are on the same side of the equals. Do not do opposites to get them together. They go together. Now that we have them together, looking to get this by itself. I may even be going to the calculator here. Nope, that's going to go in nice. We're in a similar situation that we were on the last one, though. Again, if you're not comfortable knowing that that's M is greater than 6, you can switch the M and the 6, but the arrow has to switch as well. Either one, perfectly acceptable. Kind of got that one to compare to here. Greater than goes to the right with a parenthesis because it's just or equal to. My interval notation goes from left to right. Nothing too bad, nothing too bad. All right, solve the compound inequality, graph the solution, answer in interval notation. Already still rolling with the evens here. Make sure I'm doing this right, yes. Okay, if there's something going on in the middle, we undo the minus 5. We're trying to get x alone. All three parts. And remember, when we have these compound inequalities, it's just doing the endpoints. So bracket at 1, parenthesis at 9, and color in between. X is greater than or equal to 1, going that way. X is less than 9, going that way. And my interval notation, left to right. It's a little one. So real similar here, except we got one more step we got to deal with. I had to do that division part. We're not dividing by a negative, so just leave it be. No line underneath, parenthesis. Line underneath, bracket. Left to right. So anytime you've got the three-piece inequality, that's going to be true. We saw it was a little different over here, but this and these two are all worked the same way. Solve the inequality, graph the solution, okay? As long as your absolute value is alone, you are ready to split this in two. Now here's a little bonus when you're getting ready to do your graph. If you remember, if absolute value is greater than, that's an OR statement. ORs go out from each other. Also notice when I rewrote this, I flipped the arrow, I changed the sign of the answer. That's true every time. Because that way when I go to solve this, and I'm dividing by a negative, oh, I've got to remember to flip the arrow. If you're doing the negative to both sides, you're multiplying or dividing. And so since we did that on the first one, we're also going to do that here on the second. So now, I know what my graph should look like. Let's hope that it does. X is less than or equal to, we're going to the left from -5, with a bracket. Here, x is greater than or equal to 5. We're going to the right with a parenthesis. We weren't asked to do interval notation here, but if we were, we would just do our pieces from left to right and then do a union from left to right. So just as a quick side note here, if I was doing interval notation here, left arrow is towards -infinity until I got to my first point at -5. And then we fire up again. Oh, Hardy did a boo-boo. That is a bracket. At 5. And if we go off to the right, that's always to positive infinity. That's what my interval notation would look like if I were doing it on that. So last one here for us. Oh, we got lots to do here. Okay, so here, I got two things I got to undo. I got to undo +9, and I got to undo multiply by 10. Because I got to have that absolute value alone. So first we'll get the 9 out of there. Any adding or subtracting will always come first. Then we'll divide just to get the 10 out of there. That is not 16, that is the absolute value. Once the absolute value is alone, like it was in number 12, now we're ready to split it into two. First one we leave alone. Second one, flip the arrow, change the sign. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is an AND statement. How do I know that? The arrow's pointing at the absolute value. It's less than. So ANDs, we know, typically are going to look like this. They come together. So let's see if that ends up being the case. We're not dividing both sides by a negative, so no flippage here. No flippage. X is less than 1. We're coming this way. X is greater than -1. We're coming this way. We crash in the middle. And if you were asked for interval notation, that is going to be -1 to 1. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a basic look between these and the ones that we did in class together of what your quiz is going to look like. So if you run into questions, let me know. But otherwise, get that note card ready and practice, 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 because that will make better.